What's up, guys? Welcome, everybody. Excited to have everyone here. Another Mostly Business Wednesday. What is today? We got May 8th, 2024. I feel like we're in this no man's land. I went to write a check earlier and I was like, I don't know what day it is. I'm just going to put May 7th. And I was in the ballpark. How you doing, Tim?
I'm good, but I do have a question. You write checks?
I do.
Or
I write a lot of checks.
do you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
I'm like one a year for something odd, That's about it.
Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know
even have
why. I
checks.
just have like different business accounts for different purposes, and like some of them have a bill pay thing but some don't, and like you know how it is, like, oh, I had the HVAC company come over and do a thing and they're like, we'll charge you an extra 2.5% if you want to put it on your credit card.
Oh yeah. Then I write checks.
Yeah.
As long as you're not the guy at the grocery store that goes in and you're filling out the check at the counter.
Oh yeah, and then the register in the back of the checkbook to write the note of what you paid for.
Yeah. How are you,
Then
Ryan?
you have to. Then usually the. Well, I was gonna say. Then usually the register, like the cashier, has to get a manager because they don't get checks. So it's like, what's happening? It always holds up the line. Just like figure out credit cards. They've been around for 30 years. It's fine. But I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. We're about to get apparently some like insane storm. The news is saying baseball size hail. Like what?
Baseball?
Doesn't seem like an accurate. Yeah. I mean, that seems like it would just destroy the whole city.
I was going to say, get
Roofing
your cars in the
companies are just
garage.
hard as a rock.
We're dealing with it right now already. We just got hammered with one like a month ago. I'm getting a new roof put on my house, my dad's house. Vic's got hail damage on her Jeep. So, we're ready for it. It can't do us any harm anymore. We'll just, we've already got the dings on our roof.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's nice when you
Yeah.
can do that. I mean, roofing companies kill it. I knew a guy that's like the only business he would get, really, is he would just find damaged roofs and insurance.
Yeah, and it's like it's a huge pain in the ass to deal with, but I'm like, I have to do it because we got a 10-year-old roof on this house, and I'm not
Your
going to
old
be
roof
like,
is supposed to be for 30, but I know that's
what's that?
But if you can get a
You're
new
supposed
one, you can get a new one.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah. Anyways, so there's that. We'll keep an eye out. If you see any hail, baseball-sized hail, Ryan, let us know. But let's see
I
what's
can't
going on in the
imagine
world.
baseball size hail.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it'd be big. It'd be big. We got a few things. Let's jump into some of the business stuff. One of the big things that people are talking about this week. This is the number one trending news item on LinkedIn. TikTok is suing the United States to block a ban of their app. I believe the grounds are that it violates the First Amendment rights of their users. Be interesting to see how that goes. It's interesting that a foreign-owned company can sue the U.S. government for violating First Amendment rights, right? You would think it would have to, like you would think they wouldn't have standing.
I was just going to say, yeah.
It would have to be the users themselves could do. So maybe it's, and you know what? The devil's in the details with all these things, of course. So like how it's being represented in the media, I'm always skeptical about anyways. Just like the bill itself, I won't go on too long of a rant, but it's not just a ban of TikTok. The bill itself that was passed and signed and all this stuff basically just gives the government the ability to shut down almost anything they want. So it's very broad in terms of how it can be applied. And it's like, as with all these things, the government uses any opportunity to sneak some stuff in on us, right? Like after 9/11 with the Patriot Act and mass surveillance of citizens and all this stuff, right? Yeah. Anyways, who knows what's really in it? But I've heard from some people who are not pro-China, but they're just like, hey, this is more than just a TikTok ban. This is not, but I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. What do you guys think?
Well, I think we're the only country actually potentially banning this. Is that correct too? Which makes no sense. Personally, I'm not a TikTok user, only due to my addiction of Instagram on the side. So I decided I don't want to be addicted to another app.
For sure.
But and they always say that they can get our information and things like that. I don't know about you guys. Is there anything on your cell phone that is so like, I have personally no United States secrets on my phone anymore, but I'm not quite sure the information.
No,
that
I don't have
they're trying
anything.
to.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
there's a whole thing about like the whole argument against is like that this is a Chinese owned company, and that the algorithms are being used to push certain messages that are degrading to our society over time, shaping the thoughts of the youth, the culture as a whole. And that's probably not a good thing long term for the United States. So we aren't going to turn this into a political show, but I think there are good arguments on both sides. I'm glad I don't have to decide on it. But it's interesting for businesses to see. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like content creators that are probably like, I hope this doesn't happen.
Sure.
People making a living, businesses marketing on it, people who like to watch videos of cats on TikTok or whatever else people are doing on there. Like people are like, I've heard on like podcasts and stuff, and the people be like, oh, TikTok's just like pushing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I let my boy watch, like while I'm holding it. I don't let him watch TikTok on his own, but I have TikTok on my phone. And sometimes before bed, he's 6. I'll let him look at like 3 TikTok videos. We have a quota, and it's all videos of toys, unboxing toys. And they've never once have I been shown a video about like, I don't know, like pro Hamas or, I don't know. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
like, it's, I don't know. Like, I think sometimes like the algorithm, just like Facebook and Instagram, is showing you more of the stuff that you're consuming on your own.
No, I think that's exactly what
That's
it
like the
is.
way it works.
Personally, I think that's exactly what it is, because you get like if I go through it down like a weird rabbit hole of something, and then that's like all I'll see for days on every social media
Yeah.
site that I'm on. So if I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
if I got into stuff about the war, or like any of the wars that are going on, or even something silly like the rap, like beef that's going on with like Drake and Kendrick Lamar, that is like gone just insane and that dominated pop
I don't
culture.
even
Like
understand
that's like
that. I know you're into the beef, but I don't even understand it.
I'm
So
not.
let's not.
I
Let's not go
shouldn't be
down
into
that
the
rabbit
beef.
hole.
I'm not even like that guy. But like I've been into it. I know everything about it.
Yeah,
It's that you can know
yeah,
without like always being into it. But in terms
yeah,
of this, like I think it's probably like the algorithm is just like very tight in what it shows you. And so if you watch a video of a cat or toy unboxing or like Down with
yeah,
Capitalism, you're gonna see that constantly. And I think it's more of a function of like social
yeah,
media than
yeah,
TikTok itself. But I think it's worth. Here's what I do think it's worth. I do think it's worth like investigating it, and figuring out ways to not let social media degrade
yeah.
our our like the world really, but really our
Right.
country. But my biggest question about it, and what I'm wondering is like if like the damage has been done, because like think about it, if you're like a content creator that's very popular and you're on TikTok, and let's just say TikTok's your biggest channel, and you create videos and you get millions of views, or a brand that has been growing their TikTok accounts, and this is coming out, like it might get banned in America. If you sell to America, or if you're in America, United
Yeah.
States, like I could see them being like, I'm not risking like my whole thing on making this a priority and really like pulling out, like still doing your TikToks while you can, but doing, like
Sure.
really trying to branch into other areas, if not, or making other areas a
Yeah.
priority, because it's not easy to grow, a social media account, especially the more that there are. So I think over
Right.
time, like I think this is going to really damage TikTok, their user base, and like the really the bigger accounts
Yeah.
that are like, or the fast growing accounts are going to be moving and focusing on other areas. I think things that are safer.
Sure. Don't we think this is going to hurt some businesses that rely, that maybe, I don't know, but maybe it's 25% of their marketing is through TikTok. I mean, it's going to affect some businesses out there.
Some people, yeah, some people have figured out how to make a living off TikTok, and some businesses do well marketing on TikTok. And I've been part of some like business marketing trainings of people who are experts at how to use TikTok for marketing. I've built these massive followings on TikTok, and so it depends on your niche, but yeah, those people are probably pissed about it for selfish purposes, and that's fine. But like I think from a business standpoint, everything has its day in the sun, and nothing lasts forever. So if you're all in on one source, I talk about this all the time on Substack and everything. Of like, you got to have multiple irons in the fire, because when like the Facebook group strategy stops working, you got to have other stuff that's still working for you, right? Or like when LinkedIn years ago took away the ability to send out announcements from groups. You used to be able to send a blast email basically to all group members. And there were a lot of people whose businesses were built on that functionality. And then LinkedIn took away, like they just killed it. And overnight, anybody who was like really relying on that for marketing was needless to say, struggling to replace that firepower. So anyways, but people will be all right no matter what happens with it. And on a related note,
teenagers
story.
On that.
What's that, Tim?
I said some teenagers might be losing their shit if it gets gets canceled. But
but they'll be all right.
Are mostly business.
I heard, before I jump to this next point, I did hear something the other day that's like, if you were to go to see the kind of content that like the teenagers and youth in the USA are seeing on TikTok, and then compare that to the kind of content that's shown on TikTok to the youth in China, those kids are getting like educational videos and like improvement and violin lesson videos, and like they are not fucking around. But what they're showing our kids is like, garbage. So it's like different. They're not playing over there, apparently. That's what people say. I don't know. I haven't been myself, but it's a lot of people seem to be of the opinion that China ain't fucking around, but we're over here acting like a bunch of bitches.
Love it.
Anyway, so on a related note about things that maybe don't last forever, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal that I thought was kind of funny and interesting about some businesses that started hand sanitizer businesses during COVID, and in more recent times, as demand has cooled, those businesses have seen that demand go away, and they've had to pivot in their business. I find that really interesting, because I do know, like, do you guys remember when, like, in the first like year of COVID, how there were like all these people popping up that were like trying to like create businesses that somehow met this need of like, what did they call it? PPP equipment, and like selling like, face masks to businesses, and like businesses that would start up like brands all around hand sanitizer. Like, it's really interesting to me how like that create businesses like that out of like opportunities that just pop up. Or like same thing with like there's all these with the the ERC credits that businesses could qualify for a few years during COVID. For if you retain your employees, you get these tax credits. And then there were these businesses, there's tons of them that popped up to help companies go get those tax credits, and then they get a percentage of whatever they could get for the business. And it's like, it's just fascinating to me how opportunistic people are to just pop up and be like, let's go fucking start a big hand sanitizer business because there's this huge demand for it now, knowing that like it ain't gonna last forever. So how can we have it's like a 2-year business at that point? You know?
So
that would be exciting.
What are they doing to pivot now? Or do they just take their hand sanitizer money and run? Because I gotta think, they're kind of like Zoom during COVID. They had to make a fortune for 2-3 years. Is that
and these were somewhat small brands in the grand scheme of things. Like one of them, they said did like $1 million at their peak in annual revenue or something, and that was the one selling. They had a hand sanitizer line that was like positioned as kind of a luxury. It came in a really nice bottle, not the like cheap plastic one you get at Walgreens, pump. And I think they pivoted to like consumer products for moms. And there was another example of somebody that created a hand sanitizer brand that pivoted into like other global markets to try and retain market share. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And I also have a lot of respect for people that create consumer products brands, because like to create a product that's like $10 for like a little thing of hand sanitizer and to like go out to market with that, and like you got to sell a lot of those.
Yeah,
You know?
not only that, yeah, you got to distribute too. You got to find
Yeah.
people. You got to get the big chains if it's applicable,
Right.
things like that. Totally different ball game.
But if you hit it, it can be big, obviously, and that's like,
Yeah,
that's the dream a
I
lot of
think the
people
whole
have,
the
is
whole
to
thing
create a
sounds.
product that can be on store shelves. What, Ryan?
I think the whole thing sounds fun. Like if you have that foresight and you can figure out and you know how like the distribution methods and how to get different products, and you can kind of
Yeah.
pivot your brand based on what the market really needs. I think that would be so exciting, especially because my concern would be that a lot of these people would start these brands without it. No, like you mentioned, like they know it's 2 years, but like I doubt all of them did. Right? They're like, man, we're gonna be the next we're gonna be we're gonna be hand sanitizer, billionaires. But then it goes away, and hopefully they were like prepared for that. But if you could start a business and just make
Yeah.
like a bunch of money for 2 years, and then pivot to
Yeah.
something else, that'd be. I mean, I think that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also, I've heard a lot of stories about like, you've heard of all the uh, uh, like fraud around all the COVID tax credits and all
Oh
that
my
kind of
God,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Like and most of that is like people put in claims for credits or PPP money that were based on fraudulent payroll records, and like they didn't really have the businesses they said, and they sent all this information in and got the money, and then they didn't have. It was just a scam basically, and the government has caught a ton of those people, which is like, it seems to me that is such a like a blatant felony to commit, that like, how do you think you're not going to get caught from that? If it's like you don't even, it's a fake business that you don't think they're going to look into it maybe at some point when you got like $3 million. I don't know. Like it took a
Especially
while.
something
But a
as
lot of them,
scrutinized as that.
yeah. And they've like put a pause on paying out a vast amount of ERC credits at this point. So there's still a lot of businesses, and you can still, I think the deadline's been extended. I think you can still apply for ERC credits. And this is to go back and amend your tax returns from like a couple years ago. And you amend your tax returns and submit it to get the ERC credits. So like this is still a thing that's going on, but the IRS is like paused payments on it, even for valid claims like the one we had for our former company, because the fraud is so rampant that they're like, we're pausing all payments to businesses until we get a handle on this, because there's too much for us to deal with. And so I know a lot of people who are still waiting to get the money from some of the COVID tax credits, which is interesting. It's still going on.
We could pivot and become fraud attorneys.
What's that, Kim?
I said your last company is still waiting for this. Is that correct?
One of my companies, we got the credits quite some time ago, and the other one, our CPA, just a couple of months ago called and was like, "What's going on with this?" And that's what they told us. We've got like a pause on almost all payments.
It kind of makes sense though, with all that fraud. They got to get a rein on it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it does make sense. I'm like, well, come on, the people who have valid claims will be paid, but they're like, yeah, but we don't know which ones are valid.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of pivoting though,
yeah,
I think I'm still on a delay. I don't know what's going on, but I think in terms of pivoting though, like one example that I think is interesting is this is when I was getting my master's degree quite some time ago. One of my professors was I don't know, a marketing executive at like Ball Canning Company, which they make like mason jars, right? It's like mostly the mason jars, you see like Ball mason jars. And they pivoted it wasn't like yeah, we all probably do. They pivoted their marketing, and this is like when the internet blew up and like craft stuff got huge. So like when Pinterest first like came on the map, and everyone started using like mason jars for like crafts. he said it's wild. Like they were a brand that like was about canning like applesauce and like that, it was about like the actual use of a mason jar, like sealing up your own salsa or whatever. But then they pivoted their marketing and they sold like substantially more product to people that are just wanted to use it for cute things on their in their house. And he was like, it was like a wild time for them because that all of their marketing shifted to like,
Yeah.
strapping mason jars to your walls so you can put pins in it next to your desk and stuff like that they'd find all
Yeah.
over Pinterest. And that's what they did. They pivoted hard, and it was like a huge thing for them. And so it's not even like a product change; it's just the way you talk about it sometimes.
Right. Well, another pivot that's in the news right now. About a year ago, I went to a Panera and was just killing time. Needed to like do some work for an hour in between some meetings or something. And I saw they had this like charged lemonade that they had, this new drink that they had at Panera. And it was like, I remember I got one. And then I remember looking at this, it's like a fountain drink that you get there. And then I remember looking at the fine print on the cup as I was drinking it, and it was like, it's the big one, which is what I got, was like 390 milligrams of caffeine.
What?
And that's like way beyond my personal tolerance level. Like, if I see a drink that has 200, I'm gonna probably drink half of it and maybe like the other half later or something. But like 390 is what, like that's like 5 cups of coffee or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So, anyways,
tummy.
I drank half of that drink and was like, that was a lot of caffeine. These guys are crazy. Panera coming out with this like crazy caffeine lemonade thing, but I guess they're just trying to appeal to that energy drink market. Like those things have just blown up and super popular, right? And then I saw recently that some people have died from drinking those because it's so much caffeine, and that they've got all these lawsuits going on now. And then the news that came out in the last day or two is Panera is discontinuing their charged drinks that are at the center of these lawsuits. And I really, I feel like I called it. I feel bad for the people that passed away from having too much caffeine.
Right.
Sure.
You think that would keep them away?
That was a thing.
Tim, that
that was
was
a
a
thing.
good joke. I like that.
Like,
Well, I guess there's just it's a stimulant, and if you like overdo it, your heart explodes, right?
there was also I'm going to drift away for one second. We'll come right back to Panera. There was a lady. There was a challenge on the radio like a year or two ago, drinking a certain amount of water. Did you guys hear? And she died of a water overdose. So
Yeah, too much of anything can take you down.
anything. So yeah. So
Yeah.
Panera. How do we know how many people actually died on this?
No, I can try and look at the article again real quick, but the lawsuits that have caused them to discontinue the product allege that people died after consuming the caffeinated lemonades. I hate that. Well, I've run out of free articles on the Wall Street Journal, so I can't get into exactly how many more. I'm sure if we could do some Googling, two families of people who died. So at least 2 people have died from it. So anyways, but that would be, imagine how much money they spent on that product rollout and everything else. And then it's like, oh, it's people are dying. Well, you have to get it out.
I wonder, to me, it's like, it'd be interesting to see how much more caffeine that is than coffee. I'd Google it, but I swear, at the store, my internet's so slow, I would be cut out of this. But, like, how much more does than normal coffee? Because it sounds like these people probably had heart issues and then drank too
A
much.
normal cup
Maybe
of
they didn't
coffee might
realize
have
it.
50 to 75 milligrams. So this could be the equivalent of I would say 5 to 8 cups of coffee or something like that. What's that?
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot in one sitting. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But-
it's a whole lot. My wife drank them. Like, I didn't even realize, but they probably should have marketed that, or been a little bit upfront about that, because I've had them, but not like, I don't order them myself, but I've had like some of my wife's. They're good, but
Yeah. I don't know how you feel about Panera, Ryan, but I personally think that the quality of their sandwiches has really gone downhill over the years. And in the 90s, like we used to like go there all the time and thought they had like good sandwiches and, you know, a good setup. And now I'm like, well, I do like their mac and cheese, but the sandwiches are kind of whack.
It goes up and down. I've been a longtime Panera hater since I was like
Really?
a teenager. Yeah, dude, because like, okay, first off, I don't think the food's very good. I don't like very bready sandwiches. Half the sandwiches are like a ton of bread. I'd rather go to a sandwich place that's got, I don't know, something substantial inside of it. And then it was like when I
Yeah.
was young, when I was like 15, I remember being like, I don't want to spend like $12 on a meal. Like, I don't want soup. Like, dude, I don't want that. And then I just slowly and I liked it. Everything I had there, I felt like their breakfast. Like they have a lot of breakfast. I think it's the most bland breakfast of all time. It's like the
Yeah.
most like you eat an egg sandwich, it tastes like nothing at all. Barely like eggs, And so, but my I don't know. We ordered all the time. My wife worked at their corporate offices for a while. And but it's I don't know. I'm not a
Well,
huge Panera guy at all.
well, I'm glad you have not died from eating the bread sandwiches at Panera, so that's good, my friend.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Ryan, I agree with you on on all that stuff. I think they've got some decent things there, but the sandwiches stink. And I think I thought they used to be good like 25 years ago. But the thing that is a head scratcher for me is how they keep giving you when you get like a meal or something there. It always comes with like this baguette on the side that's like this like little chunk of bread that's like kind of hard and like I don't think anyone's eating that. Imagine the money they're wasting on that. Like,
Here's my thing with that though. If you get the soup, I was just talking shit.
Yeah.
The broccoli cheddar soup to dip it in, I mess with that. I think that's fantastic. I think that's the best thing they have on the whole thing.
Yeah,
That and they also
bread
have
on
a
the
new chicken sandwich that I mess with too. Like there's a chicken sandwich. It's like a kind of like a buffalo chicken sandwich type of thing. And then
well, it
it has
sounds like
like
you do like Panera.
I like that sandwich and I like that soup.
Okay.
We like just touching the two things that I can't say I hate it. Like I'm not gonna eat it and be like, I can't believe other
Right.
than the breakfast sandwiches, I think are just garbage. Like
Yeah.
hot garbage. But the couple things are fine. But yeah, I don't know. You can't be charging up lemonade to make 8 coffees and not telling people that very clearly. And plus, what were they thinking doing that? That's a choice. That's not like you have to do that. Like if you make coffee from coffee beans, you can change the caffeine count by like over roasting it like they do with decaf and essentially drying it out.
Yeah.
But you can choose that in this. Like it's not there's a choice to make it 300 milligrams, which is absurd. Not only is it like okay, the dangerous part, I'm skeptical on how dangerous it actually was. If they might have had a lemonade and then had some issues that they weren't aware of and that caused it, and it's not really the lemonade's fault. But it like who wants that much caffeine? You're gonna feel like that quickly at least. You're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna be anxious, jittery. Like I don't know. Whoever decided to make the product that way is just like I don't want to call them an idiot, but they kind of are because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is one of those things. But I do remember when I drank it though that I was like I kind of was fortunate that I looked at the fine print because like it wasn't positioned and presented in a way that was like it didn't if it had a skull and crossbones on it and was like this is death in a bottle only for hardcore motherfuckers. Then like I'd be like, I better see how hardcore this really is because I'm not trying to, and like sometimes those things that are like that, they have to be like that in their marketing so that like they can't get sued but this was like kind of down in little tiny print,
No,
so,
yeah, because
who knows? But
my wife got
apparently
it.
people have died, at least 2 people. So
When Dawn drank some while she was pregnant, not knowing it was that. Like I just found out about this right before this call, and like because like if you think about like Starbucks has refreshers, which are very similar in concept, like sweet drinks with caffeine in it. There's not much caffeine in there, dude. Like it's like it's a light coffee, and so I think that's what people assumed it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't be doing that, Panera.
Yeah.
You know, going back to the skull and crossbones comment, I don't smoke cigarettes, but don't they have that on the box? Like a skull and crossbones
Yeah,
thing? It's
now
for
they
the
basically say you're gonna die. Yeah, because I don't
right.
smoke cigarettes anymore, but I did, and now like for in some
Mhm.
places they'll have like a picture of like a dead fetus on it. Like if you're pregnant,
Yeah,
don't
in
smoke
like
those like
Europe.
pictures or like
Yeah.
lungs. It's hardcore.
Yet
It's kind
people
of like
walk in
fast
this
food menus showing calories. You know, fast food menus just being disrespectful to a hungover person in the morning on a Saturday who just wants biscuits and gravy fast, and then
Yeah.
you got to feel like a big fat shit if you want to eat it. Like you know, like
give me the
thanks Burger King,
200
dude.
calorie
You know, yeah, just like the calories part. I'm like, I'm just not gonna look at that and pretend like that doesn't exist. But it does make me want fast food less. I'll tell you that. So it's working.
Yeah, too much drinking, the next day a burger. You can't really argue with that philosophy.
No.
So
No.
I've heard.
No. Well, we want to give our condolences to the families of those harmed by Panera's charged lemonade, and we hope Panera is able to recover from this discontinued product and replace it with something that will be just as exciting and take
Like
their
lemonade,
brand to
just normal lemonade
new levels.
would be good.
Normal lemonade. Oh, yeah. I think
Yeah,
that.
normal
Yeah.
lemonade, just a new concept.
Yeah.
Normal lemonade, maybe
Yeah.
flavored lemonades and iced teas.
Yeah.
Just-
You can put in
Yeah.
the
So
oven. This one won't kill you, you know?
if you're listening to this and you're wanting to start a business to create a super caffeinated lemonade, Tim has an article to share with you that I think will be
Yeah.
of great benefit called How to Start a Business in
Yeah.
11
I
2024 guys.
Yeah, this was from Forbes. I put it in the chat. I don't know if you want to display it, Ryan. You don't have to, but I just wrote down. I wrote this down before the call. There was out of the 11 steps, I thought, and I really want to hear from Josh as well on this one. I thought these 7 were so essential for almost every business, and I just want to break it down. You can check out the article here from Forbes, but the 7 bullet points I'll read is one of starting a business, which is competition. This one surprised me, but I kind of thought of you, Josh, with this one. Exit plans, forming an LLC, financial planning, of course, getting funding, which for most businesses is important, your marketing, and then talking about scaling. So I want to ask you, Josh, when you started a couple of businesses, did you have an exit plan immediately or early on when you were
No.
starting the business, knowing you were going to do this, or did that just formulate down the road for you?
Yeah, no. I think I'm looking at this list now and I don't see that one on the list. But anyways, the question of did I? No, I didn't start my businesses with an exit plan in mind. I basically just started off as like, coming up with an idea of, oh, there it is. Okay. So
Yeah, I'm
start came up.
I know it's in here.
Yeah. Which bullet point is that part of? Scroll up a little bit
Uh,
more.
I see it. I think it's
Create your business plan.
It's on 3.
Okay,
Is
I
it-
see. Okay, so that's within one of them. Missed it. So anyways, though, no, I didn't, and I think some people do, but I personally did not come up with an exit plan when I was, starting. Although, Connect 365 was a little different because as a software business, with that one, I had definitely the intention of someday selling it and creating a business that would be, um, structured in the right way that we could have an exit with that, and that worked out.
Yeah.
So.
I thought the 3 biggest, now if I'm going to break this list of 11 down, might be competition, marketing, and financial planning would have to be, at least for me, probably the top 3 starting a business. But I'd encourage people to check it out. I mean, this could be, after I read it, it could be for digital marketing. It could be for a product like we talked about earlier. Really,
Right.
I think this is something that would affect just about every single business. And this article was just written a few weeks ago, so it's very current in that, and kind of breaks down all these points quite nicely.
Yes. So
Yeah, I think it's
again,
good. It's a good overview.
Yeah, we got some connection problems today, folks. So apologies for some of the cross talking and delays and such, but it is what it is. I was just going to restate for anybody that was like, "Wait, where do I get this again?" It's called "How to Start a Business in 11 Steps" on Forbes. So just Google that 2024 guide, and you'll find it. Now, looking at these steps here, I want to talk about each one of these. I think maybe one of the greatest is number two: research your competitors and market.
Yeah.
That is going to be as important as anything, because if you determine a business concept and then you just are like, "This is I'm going to go do this thing," and you haven't done the research on your market and your potential customers, which I think is even more important than competitors, is like talking to some actual prospects and customers. Because in a lot of industries, there's a lot of competition. But if you're doing something a little unique and different, but I guess you have to research your competitors to figure that out. Nonetheless, I think that's really important, more so than competitors, though, talking to actual potential customers to figure out their pain points.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of those types of conversations, and good things and new thoughts will come out of it that you might not have had before. And you were just like, sitting by yourself at your desk, coming up with ideas. And then number three, once you kind of have your concept, this whole create your business plan, I think it's good to have like a loose plan and it's certainly fine to go through a thoughtful exercise around that. But the idea of creating a formal business plan, similar to like the way it was taught in the 80s and 90s, and I don't know if this is still people are teaching it, but I know that like if you go to like I forget what that organization is called. Is it called SCORE, where there's local coaches that you can work with? And like if you go to like the SBA website, and they'll be like, here's how to start a business. You create a business plan, and here's the things in a business plan. And like those documents, you're going to change everything you're doing like in like 3 weeks once you get started, and you're going to have wasted a ton of time creating some nice looking document that you probably never look at. Sometimes banks and such want to see one, and so you have to create one, but it doesn't need to be some huge, long, drawn out thing. And then this stuff about business structure, that's and register your business and get licenses. That stuff's also minimal and simplistic that it's like,
Right.
not that big a deal. And business structure, like everybody's going to have a different, setup based on what you are. Most people I know are LLCs taxed as an S corp. That's how most businesses I know are structured. But I know some for various reasons that are C corps. I know some that are straight LLCs. And so it just depends.
What's the difference on that, Josh?
What's that?
What would be the difference between an LLC and S corp? Advantages, disadvantages, etc. I'd be curious. I have a feeling other people.
I'm a little rusty on this stuff, but the essence of it is that like an S corp, it has to do with how the taxes flow through to the owner, and there's benefits from a payroll tax standpoint to being an S corp. So you can save a little bit on your taxes if you're an S corp, and then you have to put yourself on the payroll, and then the rest is distributions. So you save money on a percentage of your compensation. Whereas if you're just an LLC, it just all flows through to you and you pay on that. And there's pros and cons to each of them. So you have to have that conversation with either your CPA or a tax attorney. Most times people talk that through with CPAs. But in the beginning, there's no point. If you're starting a new thing, everybody I know, when you're starting a new thing, if you're like, it needs to be in its own entity, or if it's your first business, you're going to create an LLC. That's just how everybody does it. Very rarely is there a reason to like start a new thing that is like brand new and not just put it in an LLC and move and keep going, because all the other structures that are a little more complicated and have other benefits, you can always change to it later. You can always switch to one of them later. So I like the path of least resistance when you're getting started. If I got a new thing that I'm going to create a new LLC for, I just move forward with doing that stuff. I don't even talk to a CPA or attorney or anything. And that's me. Don't take my advice. Do what works for you. But because oftentimes I've started LLCs for things that I thought were going to be really great. And then like maybe it didn't work out the way that I thought. And I end up not moving forward with it after some period of time. And then I'm like, oh, I'm glad I just kind of went with like a lean kind of mode to get it going, you know. And this other stuff too about registering your business and getting licenses, like for a lot of us that doesn't apply. Like if you have a shop, an actual storefront, you're going to need to do some stuff like that with like your local municipality and stuff. But for a lot of, you know, consulting and expert-based businesses, professional services, you know, in a lot of cases, you don't even need that. Number 6, get your finances in order. Easier said than done, but I would say 6 and 7 kind of go hand in hand together. Get your finances in order and fund your business, right? Apply for business insurance. Okay. Yeah. Again, get the business going. And this depends on what your business is. But if you're starting something that's kind of lean, like I'm talking about, like sometimes you don't have to get insurance right away. You know, wait and see, get the thing kind of like, oh, it's working. Okay, now I'm going to get the right insurances in place. Now, if you're starting a restaurant, don't do that. You got to get it right away. Some of this advice here would definitely be like, do all these things if you're like brick and mortar or like different, you know, types of businesses like that.
Yeah, it's different if you're like a deck builder versus being like a consultant. You know, insurance.
Yes.
Two different things there.
Yeah, if you have an online digital marketing business, or even what I do as an independent contractor, I don't need half of this stuff. Totally get it. Yeah, but just talking about businesses overall.
But here's the thing, though. Also, if you're a deck builder, though, like I know some people who are out there building decks and they don't have business insurance because they're just kind of getting on their feet and they just maybe are doing some side work right now and hustling, and then it turns into a business. Not that that's the right way to do it. Maybe can you get yourself into trouble if you do that? Yeah, but like, you know, it's done all day long, every day. But yeah, good find, Tim. There's a lot of good things in here. Like if you scroll down to like number 1, determine your business concept. And there's some good questions in here. If you're, you know, and for anyone who's in a place of like trying to figure out what to do, and we all end up in that place at some point in our lives, maybe more than once.
Right.
These are some great questions. Like, what do you love to do? What do you hate to do? Like, good. Get some thoughts started.
I feel like that's a question I ask myself with most jobs. What do I love to do and what do I hate to do, and make sure I do number 1 and not number 2, including this one.
Well, I think that those questions are like more than just a business concept. That should be asked when you do anything. Like, let's just say you start a business. You're like, you already know you want to start an agency, or you want to do something. Then when you start to market it, I think you should figure out, like, when you're starting to try new things, like, what do you enjoy doing versus what do you hate doing, but you feel like you should. Because if you like double down on things that you enjoy doing, I think it's going to go like a whole lot better. Like if you despise video, for example, like being on video, then you might not need to do that, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like it may like I wouldn't focus on doing video, but you like writing, like you enjoy writing blog posts, or you enjoy doing different elements of marketing. I would focus on like that, like along like that. And like when you think about scalability, like figuring out what do you like to do, what do you want, when you start to try to figure out who you're going to bring on, well, like bring people on to do the things that you don't like to do. Or, you know, like there might be things that you like to do, but are not worth your time, that you still bring somebody on to take over. But like, if there are elements of like your day that you despise, the best way to like avoid being burnt out is to just have somebody else do that, or to avoid doing those things altogether. And so I think those questions that are on here, I think, are good to ask in a bunch of different areas of business aside, like that are like much further past, like, you know, conceptualizing what you want to do as the overall business.
You know, I find it amazing. I was on a coaching class yesterday with another company, and in this particular class, people are developing programs, got to build a community, want people to subscribe to things like their blog, got to create an email list, all these things. And a couple of people on here like, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want to be out there. It's like, but I really want people to buy my program. It's like, well, then you're kind of in the wrong business. If you hate to do that, you really can't put out a program to a community and serve a community without being part of the community. So I've tried to explain that to people. So I'm going to bring up these questions, I think, on one of those calls.
Yeah, you got to just in that situation, you have to find a way to do enough things that will get the job done. And so like what I found in our businesses over the years is like a lot of people in our industry, a big way they get clients is from going and speaking and like hosting their own events and speaking at other people's events. And I did that for a while. I forced myself to do it for a couple years. And then I just kind of realized that like, I really like that. And I realized I am pretty good at creating videos ahead of time. Like, you know, talking head videos, going into the little studio we had created in our office and doing a 15-minute sales video or whatever, and then having that video be part of a sales funnel. And so I was able to, that was how I was most of the time, you know, showing up in front of customers was in that kind of format, or doing webinars. And so there's a lot of different ways you can get at that. But anyways, we're off the point here. So hopefully some of these things in this article will help some people out. Good find, Tim.
Cool.
One of the things of what you love to do, and I've thought about this so much with myself, is like, you know, I really like talking about wine and I'm into wine, but I've always been like, I don't want to create a business around it, because then it's like you can take something that you hobby and then turn it into something that you have to do as a business that sometimes could take the fun out of it. And I think it's hard to know of like, if there's something you love, do you love it enough to like do it all the time? I don't know. I think there's kind of a fine line there of like, you know, like I like hockey a lot, but like, I think I'd really get burnt out if I was like doing like watching hockey games and talking about hockey all day long. If I like went hardcore into the world of like, you know, trying to be a hockey pundit or something, you know what I mean?
But yeah, you do get, just from somebody who's worked in an industry that I worshipped as a kid and still now, but you do get a little jaded for sure. But it still beats, you know, your hockey example, it still beats having a real job, right? I mean, if you are going to work and talking about hockey and all that, you know, it's
right.
Depends if you make enough money doing it. Like, you don't want to be,
Yes.
if you're struggling doing the job, and like, because like to me, that's like, if you really think about it, how many people love SEO? Like very few.
How many
Like
people love it? No.
This is like love, like searching, you know, but they do search engine optimization because they're good at it. So that's why I was saying you should focus these questions on and other parts too, because like there are a lot of things that I don't love the topic of the business that I would do, but there are areas within the business that I know that I do like to perform those activities and to do those things, and therefore it makes it worth it. Because I think the most important thing is you do something that, like, that you don't hate and that you believe in.
Yeah.
You know, you believe in it, but then within that, as you go, you continuously find things that you are good about. Because the main reason I said that, right, is like there are a lot of strategies, even at like link selling or Connect 365, that I'd see other people doing. I'm like, oh man, that's smart. But then we try to do it, and it's like way different when it's like scripted and forced. Like a good example is like this doesn't have to do with link selling and Connect 365, but I can tell when somebody, like, you know, there's a lot of people who do like the walking and talking videos or videos while they're in their car. Like those, you know, videos that just kind of like, why are you doing this? And the people that do them really well, like, I think they enjoy doing them and it's like really natural to them. But if like the people that like, sometimes you'll see when you're like, man, this feels weird. Like you're really trying to say the exact words, you know, like it's like you're reading from a script, but you're walking. It doesn't come off the same way, you know, as like someone who's like casually walking on the street telling you something.
Yeah.
And so like, if that's not something and that may be something they need to get better at, but they do like doing it, or they might just be forcing themselves to do something because they've seen somebody else do it. And I think that that's where it starts to become like something you really need to be paying attention to. It's like, how do you like to spend your day? And then how do you make money doing that?
See, and it's obvious. I think our viewers can't tell that we are 100% reading off a script right now, which I like.
Yeah, this has been scripted the whole time,
Yeah,
including the
every
Charged
word.
Lemonade stuff.
Yes. I spent all day writing the script yesterday for this show. 10,000 words. What would be an hour-long show? Would be what, 20,000 words or something? I don't know.
Something like
You
that.
guys, what you guys want to? Let me tell you about a wine I bought. Speaking of
I was
wine,
just going to say, I was going to ask if it's wine.
I put a link in the chat, and so this is more than just a wine I bought, but it's kind of a little tip on a place to get wine, and they have a unique model. It's called Denegose, Denegoce. I threw a link in the chat. Or I sent Ryan a link. Maybe he can get it up on the screen. I don't know. But so their whole model, I've been buying from this company for a couple of years now. They've been around for a while. They go and work out deals with producers, vineyard owners, wineries, etc., for excess wine that they're trying to offload. And because there's a lot of wineries they're sitting on a lot of inventory, and that's a lot of cash tied up there. However, they don't want their brand to be associated discount model, because that would cannibalize their existing sales. And so Denegose works out these deals with legit wineries who, in this case, this is a 2023 Russian River Valley Sauvignon Blanc from, RRV is California, of course. Sonoma.
Yeah, Russian River is just outside of the wine country. It's about 90 minutes north of San Francisco. Really feeds into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, Russian River Valley is like one of the most popular Pinots you'll find in the grocery store right now, and very well-known part of California. And so what they will do, what Denegose does, is they'll go to this winery that produced this Sauvignon Blanc. They'll work out a deal with them. They'll say, hey, we got a bunch of this Sauvignon Blanc that we want to get rid of more than we think we have our own demand for. They'll work out a deal with them. And then these guys label it under their own Denegose label. So you don't really know which winery this is. They don't say who it is. But in the copy, they tell you about the wine. They tell you about the vineyards. They tell you that the original price, if you buy it in the winery's tasting room, is $45 a bottle. So they tell you all these things about it. And there's some geeky wine forums out there that people actually investigate all these releases to figure out who they think it is. And this one in particular is suspected to be Roccioli. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but a very well-known producer of Chardonnays, Pinots, Sauv Blanc, and definitely sell for $40-50 a bottle if you buy it straight from them. And so I don't buy a lot from these guys anymore, but I might buy a couple cases a year if I see something that I think looks really cool and it's something that I think I would like. And it's a great value because it's legit. If you buy the 6-pack, you're getting, what does that come out to? $15 a bottle or something, right? $16 a bottle. And
I didn't even catch that. That was a 6-pack for $99.
Me neither. Wow. The whole time I was like, why would you spend so much more? But never mind. I'm dumb. It's right there.
Right. Yeah. So this is, and then if you buy full 12, if you buy a case, and here's the other thing too. I don't know how they're doing this, but shipping on a 6-pack is only $10, which is crazy for shipping wine. But because it's so heavy,
I pay $40 to ship an hour from my house.
Yeah. I don't know how they're doing that, but they've got a good deal worked out with the whatever, or they're just eating it. But if you buy a 12-pack, if you buy a full case, you get free shipping, and the price is even a little lower on a per bottle basis. So sometimes I buy the 6, sometimes I'll buy the 12, and if you get on their mailing list when new stuff comes out, they'll send you They'll send you an email and you can jump on it. And some things sell out fast and some things don't. This one's been up for a couple weeks now, so wasn't a
This
big
is
hitter,
cool.
but I got on it because I don't have much Sauvignon Blanc down in my cellar. And so I was like, all right, I'll throw that in there. You know?
So it's what, Josh? It's the half a case for a regular weekend. It's the full case for like a holiday weekend, I assume.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
No, and honest, I think twice about these purchases because like I have a hard time with white. It's like, you know, I've talked about this like every week for the last. I got to use my Coravin when I'm drinking this stuff, and then it takes me like a week to work through one of these bottles, but that's fine. It's still this will last a long time. You know, this is probably still going to be good 10 years from now, so I'll be all right.
It's like white labeling wine, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
White
It's
label.
like white labeled. Yeah, it's like a white label wine, and they've
So
got.
I guess what it is like if they have an extra large like you know, I'm sure wine companies are pretty good at like projecting like how much they need and how much they'll sell of it, and maybe they like they yielded more than they anticipated, and then this is a way to get rid of the excess product without doing a big discount or creating some weird like secondary brand, which I know a lot of brands do. They'll create like some generic version of it, but they're the same thing. That's a cool website.
This is going to actually. This will be these. They're going to have great deals coming soon because there's a lot of talk right now that like there's a lot of producers in the wine industry that are in trouble right now. The demand is not where it was a couple of years ago, and so you're going to see more people pushing excess inventory to places like this, and you'll see some pretty good values out there as a result, I think. And it's good for the wineries to generate some much needed cash. You know, so.
And I went to their website. Is that the only one? Because I'm really intrigued by it. It's the only one they have on this deep special right now. I was looking at the reds, but they just pick one at a time. I think that's on special.
No, you can get if you go to the bottle shop and click red wine. They've got 48 products in there right now, and just if you just click on any one of them, you know you'll see, like.
Oh, I got it. You'll see. So if you order more.
Like, so go to one of the other wines on the red wine list, and there's all sorts of shit. I've bought Pinot from them. I bought Cab Sauvignon, and I don't know what else, but they got everything.
$2.
Unbelievable values, really, because like you'll get like cabs for like $10 or $15 a bottle that were probably like anywhere from $40 or more originally at the winery, but so it's pretty cool. I try not to buy too much of it though, because there's still something like special about the like buying from the winery and knowing where your wine's coming from. And
absolutely,
this is kind of like more of like a bargain bin thing. And so I'll use this if I don't want to open an expensive bottle. I'll be like, grab one of those. But anyways, pretty cool stuff. Check it out. Ryan, you got a thought for the day for us?
Read the script, Ryan.
Ryan, get to the script, please.
I'm trying to shut the screen down, and it's like freezing. It's like freezing me. So I'm trying to get this thing off, but I don't know what's going on. So you're saying this is a thought of the day?
Final thought of the day by Ryan Farrell, everybody.
Oh, you're muted now, Ryan.
So far, so good.
I'm really. This is resonating with me, Josh. I'll be honest.
I like it. It's really good. Words to live by.
You know what? That really makes me think. I got to be honest.
I'm touched.
I've never seen this side of you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, I think we got to implement some of these things he's talking about, honestly, in my everyday life. Sorry, we had fun making fun of you. It's okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Here he is. Let's try again.
Can you hear me? Okay, I don't know what's going on, dude. Like the internet.
It's a bad day for us.
I think it's the weather.
It's that baseball-sized hail.
It's coming because it's getting darker and darker. It's wild outside looking right now. It looks like it's nighttime. But here's the deal. Okay, here's my final thought of the day. I saw doing a lot of research on organic content recently on LinkedIn, and I saw a post that was asking people, what is the best trait the marketer should have? And there's a bunch of answers to it, right? Like, there's a lot of it. It's like creativity. It's like, of course, but like that's like you got to be able to do things. Here's my answer, and I think that's something everyone should have. That not just marketers, people that do any sort of marketing is time management prioritizations. Marketing is is unique in a sense where there is no finish line. There's no end to a project really, because there's like an infinite essentially amount of things you can do and try. And so you can like the bigger, like a lot of people are worried about not doing enough. I think more people should be worried about doing too much and trying too many things because they're reading too many things and a million things are happening all at once. Then they try 1,000 things. They do poorly at most of them because they're so worried about getting to the next thing. So they don't feel like they're behind and they feel like they're doing it because it's all a pursuit to feel like you're doing enough. And like what I've found is it's like the fastest way to get burnt out and to think and to give up on your business because you're trying too many things. So what you need to do is figure out, like, as if you were hiring somebody to do it, figure out, or someone was hiring you to do the work, figure out how much time you believe this is going to take, how much impact you believe it is going to have, and then prioritize from that way. And then when you get to a certain point, don't do anything else that day on that because you're going to continuously move forward. I get caught up in this like constantly. And so that's my thought of the day is like, when you're doing marketing and you're planning marketing out and you're reading all of this content from everyone, you're watching shows like this, you're reading newsletters, you're attending these webinars, like really prioritize like what you think you need to be doing and realize that you don't have to do every single thing that you read, even if they're all good ideas. Figure out which ideas. That's why I'm been harping a whole lot lately on find stuff you like to do and do that because there are a lot of good ideas out there. And you don't need to do things you don't like to do, and you don't need to do everything. So that's my thought of the day to send people off on it.
Absolutely.
Well said, buddy.
Well said. All right. Well, Ryan, you better get in your basement before it gets too crazy.
I wish I could turn the camera on and show you guys. It is like nighttime here. Like whatever it is now here.
Be safe. Be safe.
Let me turn this light off. This is how dark it is in my room. I'm trying to turn the light off. I can't even reach it. Jesus. This is you can't tell. It actually looks okay still with the light.
It looks the same. That was wow. What a change.
I'm scared now.
I have a light above my laptop. I think it's actually the what's lighting me up is that Dana Grossi website. It's the white background. That's what's getting me.
All right, guys.
Thanks
Good times. See you next time.
Absolutely. Cheers.